Everyone, this is Aman here and I am going to start life cycle of Plasmodium. So, the life cycle of Plasmodium, I will try to keep it very concise and crisp so that it will be helpful in the last minute revision also for all of you. So, the reference taken has Apurva Sastri. So, I have concluded this life cycle of Plasmodium as a two part. Like first is asexual cycle and then we are having asexual cycle. So the asexual cycle, right, it takes place in the human and human is called an intermediate host. Next, it has three stages. First stage is called hepatic, then erythrocytic, then third one is gametocytes. So the hepatic stage, if you will see what happens when a female Anopheles mosquito, that is the carrier which carries the sporozoites, that is an infective form, and when it bites human, the sporozoites present in the salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito is transferred to the human. Now this sporozoid enters the liver where it gets transformed into trophozoite stage, and that trophozoite is converted to the schizont. You can tell it hepatic schizont, and also the next this hepatic schizont get converted to hepatic merozoites. So this is the basic which will help you understand the asexual cycle. Why I am telling this is a basic because just remember the sporozoite, trophozoite, schizont and merozoites. This is sporozoite has entered. You have to remember only T, S and M. T for trophozoite, then it forms schizont. Since it's taking place in liver, we are telling it is a hepatic schizont, and then it goes and forms merozoites. So we are telling it is a hepatic merozoites because this is taking place in hepatic, in a right liver. Now coming to the point, what happens? These hepatic merozoites now is released into the blood vessel, and then these hepatic merozoites invades the RBC, okay, and enters the RBC, right, and there it forms a early trophozoite. So from a merozoite it is forming early trophozoite, that is we are telling as a ring form, and then that early trophozoite is converted to late trophozoite. So again if you will see this, the word merozoites, right, here also in the hepatic stage also the merozoite was there, right, but if you will see here from merozoite again trophozoite is formed, but that trophozoite is early form, and then next it's forming late trophozoite, and then here again schizont is coming, that is immature schizont from late trophozoite, and then from immature to the mature schizont is formed, and again when it has to leave the RBC, that will be called as a erythrocytic merozoites, right. Now this how to remember same thing, this here also trophozoite was there in the hepatic, right, schizont was there, and while leaving the liver merozoite was there. Same here from merozoite if you will see this trophozoite, that trophozoite we divided into early and late, then schizont is again, that is we divide into immature and mature, and here if you will see while leaving the RBC we are telling it is a erythrocytic merozoites. Coming to the third stage, in the third stage is the gametocytes. This erythrocyte merozoites is as converted into male gametocytes and female gametocytes, right. Now this is the asexual cycle of the Plasmodium. Remember, next, sexual cycle occurs in a female Anopheles mosquito and it is a definitive host. Next, now female gamete and male gamete, obviously fertilization, it happens in the midgut of the female Anopheles mosquito as it bites again the infected person. So here remember, it bites 2 times. I will show you the references of the book also. And this in midgut, right, it is converted to oocyst, and from here it travels to the salivary gland and converted into sporozoites. And this again sporozoid, this is now is present in the salivary gland, right? This mosquito will bite some another healthy person and will release the sporozoid, and this sequelae will be continued, right? Remember one thing, that what we studied is the Plasmodium, and Plasmodium is a parasite. So we have studied the life cycle of Plasmodium, not the female Anopheles mosquito. Female Anopheles mosquito is the carrier, right? Now I am moving on the Apurva Shastri's line to understand some important formation like ring and all, how it's entering. We will see some important points and then we will wind up this video. Next, so taking reference from Apurva Shastri, this is life cycle. So Plasmodium completes its life cycle in 2 hosts. That is definitive host, female Anopheles mosquito, where sexual cycle takes place or sporogony takes place, and intermediate host is a man, where asexual cycle or schizogony takes place. Talking about male Anopheles, they does not feed on men and they feeds exclusively on fruit juices. Why male Anopheles mosquito does not transmit the disease? This is the reason, because they feed exclusively on fruit juices, whereas female Anopheles needs at least, this is very important, that they need at least 2 blood meals before laying eggs. So this is the important one I wanted you to remember. This is the 3 stages I was talking about of the asexual cycle, that is pre-erythrocytic schizogony, erythrocytic schizogony and gametogony. So here if you will see, pre-erythrocytic, that is also known as hepatic stage, this happens in liver, that's why it's named so, and the motile sporozoites leave the circulation within 30 minutes, means after the bite of the human Anopheles mosquito, the sporozoites after 30 minutes it will reach the liver, right? Now how the sporozoid will enter, right? So surrounding the sporozoid, means on the surface of the sporozoids there is a circumsporozoid proteins, and that is gonna bind with the receptors that is present on the hepatocytes, that's the liver cells, and thus the sporozoids get inside the hepatocytes, right? Now trophozoites, if you will see, after entering into the hepatocytes, right, the spindle shaped sporozoids become rounded and transformed into the trophozoites, right? Talking about schizogony, the trophozoite is the feeding stage of the parasite, which later on undergoes several nuclear divisions and transform into pre-erythrocytic schizone. And the pre-erythrocytic schizone contains several merozoites and released outside on rupture of hepatocyte. Merozoites then attack RBCs to initiate erythrocytic stage. No liver injury, as only few hepatocytes are infected by Plasmodium. So hepatic damage does not occur in malaria. This is a very important point. Now duration of the pre-erythrocytic schizogony varies from 5 days to 15 days depending on the species. The important part is the hypnozoites, because some of the Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium ovale, they did not develop further and may remain in liver as hypnozoites and cause relapse of malaria after many years. So there is a terminology coming, relapse and recrudescence. Okay, so we'll see some part of that. What is relapse and recrudescence? See the relapse here, if you'll see, it happens only in Plasmodium vivax and ovale infections, whereas recrudescence, although seen in all species, more common in the falciparum and the malaria, right? Here if you will see the duration, it remains dormant up to 3 weeks to 1 year in the, and here if you will see, some they are taking as long as 60 years also, right? And here it's happening due to the persistence of the drug resistant parasites, like even after the completion of the treatment they are there, right? Coming to the second part of the sexual, that is cycle, that is the erythrocytic zygony. The hepatic merozoites after release from the pre-erythrocytic zygont, that is the hepatic zygont also you can say, attack the RBCs, which I have simplified in my flowchart, right? Now this is what I wanted to focus on, this part, that merozoites will bind to the glycophorin receptors on the RBC surface, and they enter by the endocytosis process and are contained within a parasitophorous vacuole, okay, inside the RBCs. Now trophozoite, this we are talking about the erythrocytic stage, remember this, because now it's inside the RBC. Soon the hepatic merozoites transform into the trophozoites, right? That's the early and the late. And the early trophozoites are also called as ring forms, okay. They can be annular or signet ring, and they contain a central vacuole, peripheral thin rim of cytoplasm, and a nucleus. I will show this is the ring form, right? So here if you will see ring form, okay, so there is a central vacuole, right? In the periphery there is a rim of cytoplasm, and also there is a nucleus, okay. And if you will see lead trophozoite, then it forms a ring form, will enlarge and becomes more irregular and transform into lead trophozoite or amoeboid form. So if you want to see this, I will see this is the lead trophozoite. Now it's in amoeboid form, right? Now important point is the malarial pigment means Plasmodium feeds on hemoglobin and releasing the undigested products, right? And which combine to form malarial pigment, okay. Now we're talking about zygony. The lead trophozoite form will again form this erythrocytic zygont. So here is this erythrocytic zygont, immature and the mature, right? So this is the life cycle of a malarial parasite. So you can see how the sporozoites like was in the salivary gland, okay, of the female Anopheles mosquito. So how this man is getting, okay, infected after the bite, and the sporozoites, okay, mostly all species except vivax and oval which got relapse, right? And this species here is sporozoite enters, right, after 30 minutes, and this is converted to trophozoite form. Then there is a this is hepatic zygont form, then hepatic merozoite form, and then it's released, okay, and comes to the inside the invades the RBC you saw, okay, that surrounding, okay, and then it forms a what ring form, right? Then this is lead trophozoite, and ring form also called as early trophozoite, and this lead trophozoite is formed into immature zygont and to the mature zygont, and then there is erythrocytic merozoite is released, and this is forming here, gametogony is happening. This is the third stage of the sexual cycle, female and male, and there is a female and male, right? So this is the structure you are seeing here, right? And this taking fertilization here you can see, okay, it's bringing in the midgut of the female Anopheles mosquito, right? So this is how sporozoites develop from the oocyst, then sporozoites travels to salivary gland of the female Anopheles mosquito, right? So here is the overall, you can take a snap of this, right? It will be helpful for you. You can draw this diagram in the exam also, okay.